Now, when we were doing our inspections, like what you have said, we did find that there were two in Babel that did not have the necessary documentations. Normally what we do, if people are working and they don't have the documentations to be working, they get arrested. We don't only arrest them alone, we also arrest the employer. What we have done now, we did find the two from Babel. They've been arrested. They don't have documentations to be in the country. And then we've also arrested the employer so that the employer can also go and answer on the number of those people that are there, and also to explain why is he employing people with no documentations.
And of course, you went to two restaurants today. Take me through what immigration was looking for in all these restaurants.
In both the two restaurants, one is Ocean Basket, the other one is Babel. Immigration was trying to check as to the number of employees that are within that space, how many of those employees are South Africans and how many are foreigners, and those who are foreigners, what kind of documentations do they have? Because for a person to work in an establishment of that nature, they must be in possession of a work permit if they are not South Africans. That is why the two that we did find there, we effected the arrest.
And how often are these laws flouted?
It's often. We at times note some of these occurrences when we visit some of the restaurants, because the issue of visiting, checking compliance is what we are doing almost every day as Home Affairs with our Inspectorate Immigration Services. So in some areas you find that employers are incompliant, and in some areas you find that they are not incompliant. So in this case, out of the total number that were employed, most of them were South Africans. They had documentations, and then they also had foreigners that did not have documentations, hence the arrest.
Hello Mzansi, welcome back to yet another video. Now guys, the clip that you guys just saw, there was actually a girl on TikTok that actually released a video where she was talking about her place of employment, a restaurant in Menlyn called Babel. She talks about how when she got to the restaurant, she was employed on the spot. She had to buy her own uniform. She had to buy her own equipment for the restaurants, like a lighter, bottle opener, and certain things. No contracts are signed there so that they can basically fire you whenever they want to. There's no basic salary. You earn through tips. There's so many things. She speaks about how the restaurant fines them, like there's a runner fee for 200 rands. They get fined for cutlery of the restaurants for 200 rands. How they treat them, how they speak to them, like a lot of things, you guys, that she was just sharing on that video that was just appalling, to say the least. Now, the power of social media, she posted that on social media, guys, and it gained traction. And people just wanted this restaurant, Babel, to be held accountable. Now, the clip that you just saw, that is the Department of Home Affairs, who actually did a raid. They actually went to go and do their checks in those restaurants, and there was a number to be particular, two, if I'm not mistaken, two employees that were actually arrested because they did not, foreign nationals that did not have documentations, as well as the owner of Babel was actually arrested for actually employing people who don't have documentation. Now, there also have been reports that the Labour Minister actually said that Menlyn's Babel restaurant owes workers over 560,000 rands in unpaid wages, you guys. Now, of course, a lot of people had a lot to say about this matter. Someone saying it's not often DG, like referring to that clip that they don't oftenly do checks or raids. The whole of Centurion is full of Zimbabwean working in restaurants. In fact, the whole country, the other employees were probably off or told not to come to work. Guys, personally, I know of so many of these restaurants that actually employ people who don't have documents because they don't want to pay them proper wages. And sometimes I just think to myself that, you know, when some people speak about how South Africans are lazy and whatnot, I am actually referring it to this situation, that sometimes South Africans are referred to be lazy and to have big mouths or attitudes or not to do work well because they actually want us to accept this type of treatment. Just imagine how it took one employee who would have been viewed as rebellious, because sometimes they tell you don't talk up, like it's going to decrease your chances of being employable. Someone else also saying we are getting there, guys. As a nation, we got power. Politicians are our representatives. We are the ones who should decide what must happen and when. Please keep these videos coming. Let's expose these establishments who want to exclude South Africans from workplaces. And then waiters, someone else saying waiters and waitresses are not paid in Piatto. That's another restaurant, Mall of the South. They depend on tips. I also know a lot of restaurants, actually, guys, they don't pay people salaries. They tell them to basically depend on tips and about how tips can make them more money than actual salaries. And lastly, someone saying make it mandatory that this establishment bears the deportation cost of any employee who is not documented, minimum 10K per undocumented. I think that is such a brilliant idea, you guys. But there we go. The power of social media, you guys, just goes to prove that when we really put our heads together on something, you guys, the fact that even the owner of this establishment, who is not South African, by the way, is arrested and there's some sort of accountability, he's going to be taking I think it's a beautiful thing to hear and to see of. I know there's some people who actually felt like it was unfair that the employers or employees were actually getting arrested, the ones who didn't have documentation. People were asking like, why arrest them? Because they are basically just the victims. But the honest truth, in as much as it's sad, you guys, you know very well that you're not supposed to be working without documents. So both are basically wrong, the employee and the employer. So guys, yeah, tell me what you guys think about this. Please do make sure you like the video. Please do subscribe. It is absolutely for free of charge, and I'll see you guys in the next one.